welcome back to another episode of Charge the Line. It's your host, Roger Narvaez, with my co-host, Tony Perez. 2026. 2025 is gone. It has come. It has done its thing, and now we're moving forward. We're progressing. Or maybe we're not. But that's what we're going to talk about today, right?
Hope to be, yeah.
So, how was your New Year's? How was your Christmas? How was your New Year's, T?
It was good. A little relaxation. Have some days off during the week, which I don't usually get anymore.
Yeah, that is a nice thing. Yeah. It's a weird deal, right? Because on 40 hours, it's like you don't get those days off. So when the holiday lands in the middle of the week, like you get the day,
it's a little break,
but then you got to go right back, right? Where 40 with like me on shift work, if I'm on shift, I'm on shift.
Yeah, you just work.
But if I'm not, then I get get that time to be with the family for a couple of days usually. So that's nice.
And then those holiday weeks usually are a little slower when it comes to like the workload for like our stuff that we're doing, outreach and whatnot. So I get to kind of get some more stuff done in house.
No, that's definitely nice. That's definitely good. We could always use a little break every now and then. But no, we just wanted to talk about 2025. Talk about some good, some bad, some indifferent. We had it was kind of a weird year for us. I think we kind of flipped roles in that sense of, at the beginning of the year I was 40-hour, you were shift work, and then I went back into the field, and you happened to go into 40-hour as an assistant chief fire marshal.
Yeah.
So with all that, we always talk about having goals and moving forward, but how did you handle that? Was that something that kind of impeded progress or impeded? I mean, obviously making that position is a goal in itself, but did you have to put other things on the back burner for the meanwhile to, get settled in?
Yeah, just the adjustment. As you know, you did the same thing. It's like, you don't have those days off during the week to knock things out like you normally do. Like to work out during the day or, mornings, but like during the, your days off or whatever. So now I got to make time in different ways and just fit it all in. Some of my weeks are kind of, they'll get long, long days sometimes. If I'm deciding to like work out before work, go to work, full day of work, and then jiu-jitsu in the evening. Like, those are long days. But,
yeah, for sure.
When you finally like lay down at the end of the day, it's like you feel well accomplished, like you did a bunch, so.
Man, I had a whole new respect for hobbyists, and I use that term lightly.
Sure.
But hobbyists who work 8 to 5 and then go to jiu-jitsu
straight from
3
there.
to 4 nights a week,
from there, yeah.
Right? Because like I'm there, and that's my job, right? That's my business. That's what I've put that's my profession. It's still my passion. But guys like yourself, you're doing it because you just love it, right? Yeah. Like you enjoy it. It brings you.
You want to get better at it,
and you want to get better, right?
It's a big challenge, yeah.
So, but man, that that's a commitment. So when I was 40-hour, it definitely gave me a whole new respect. You noticed, and it was one of my assistant coaches that I was telling. I was like, dude, it's killing me having to go to work from 8 to 5 and then come straight to teach kids. He's like, welcome to my life.
Yeah,
and I kind of felt like an idiot because I was like, you know, it's. You get kind of spoiled on shift work having those days off.
Yeah, and it's some of the stuff too that is just like one thing affects another thing. And it's kind of how it always goes, right? Like, so it's like with nutrition, like, man, let's just say a Monday, I'll go straight from the office to the gym, do a 6:30 class, 7:30 class, getting out at 8:30. Well, now I got to eat something. It's like I don't want to eat something heavy and just go straight to bed, So just trying to make those adjustments. That's been the biggest thing. And then the other big thing is just, what is the word? Sedentary, like being just sitting in the office all day. Like, man, I gotta get up. I gotta get out. Like I'll go out into the field sometimes, or just get out and walk around. Like I just can't sit there for. Yeah. It's so crazy. Like I could squat all day and do all kinds of lift heavy weight, and my back never hurt. But I can sit in a chair for 8 hours, and my back's killing me.
Yeah, it'll lock you up.
And so I have to like be moving.
Well, we're meant to move, right?
Yeah,
and that's
I believe that.
The invention of the chair, they say, is the worst thing that ever happened because. Our natural posture, and it was interesting because when I was doing kettlebells, my buddy at the time brought it up to me and was like, "Have you ever seen the way babies sit? Like
they squat.
They squat like all the way, butt down to the ground, knees never over the toes, like, and they're just sitting there, or people from like tribes,
other countries,
other countries, and they don't have the luxuries that we have, and although the luxuries are just that, sometimes it to a deficit, to a deficit for sure. But yeah, I think with Charge the Line, we started this 3 years ago, man. And I think we hit the ground running. It definitely has been a little bit of a difficult path, just because, after our first year, we were both on shift, so it was real easy for us to get in that flow of when we can hit it as far as get an episode recorded. And then, I went into 40 hour, came out, you went into 40 hour. So I'm looking forward to getting back onto a regular schedule. We're having, at least 2 podcasts a month come out. But something that I did want to ask you, and I don't think I ever have, right? We have the title Charge the Line, right? We always talk about, don't forget, charge that line, right? What does charging the line mean to you?
I would say that charge the line to me, obviously it's the metaphor with firefighting, but more so the deeper look into it is just that's like that last thing that you do before you're like gonna see fire, right? You're gonna like meet fire. So as cliche as or corny as that sounds, but it's like, for me, like that's like that it's time to work, it's time to go to work. And I think that's kind of epitomizes like what we talk about a lot, is like putting in the work, putting your head down and just doing the work. There's a lot of things in life that, you could get caught up in, worry, stress, anxiety. And at the end of the day, you only can control like how you feel or what you're going to do. And it's like, oftentimes I have to tell myself like just put your head down, go to work, and that's every day, and so that to me, it's just that grind that like, I'm putting my head down, I'm going to work. You can pout about it, whatever that is. You can sit there and pout about it. And sometimes it's like, okay, I'm done pouting. Like, that's enough. Like, it's time to work.
Yeah.
And I don't know. That's what it kind of means to me.
Yeah, no, man. I mean, when I because I think I came up with a title, and it's so funny because we're both firefighters. We know that's one of the things. But when I think of that, when I was coming up with it, and then I brought it to you, and you were like, dope. Like, let's do that.
That's a good one.
I think for me, it was exactly what you said. For our audience that don't understand, when we're on the fire ground, the last thing we do before we make entry on an interior structure fire is yell for water, right? Charge the line. The way I saw it, metaphorically speaking, was exactly what you said. I think oftentimes we can get caught up in a mindset of mediocrity. Just monotony of life catches up. And sometimes we find ourselves in situations where we're just meeting the minimum standard, not only in work, but for our fitness, for our health, for our family, for our finances. Like, we really haven't continued to push forward. And there's those times at those fires where you can tell that nozzleman, because typically it's usually if you have a rookie, he's on the nozzle, right? Mm-hmm. And there's times where you got to like, hey, let's go, let's push, let's push forward. And I've been that guy. I've been the guy with guys on my back, pushing me, you know. And but when I think about it, I'm thinking like, charge that line, whatever your line may be, whatever whatever you're pursuing, whatever hardship, whatever difficulty that you have in front of you, like, charge it. Because like we say in the fire department, like, the longer you wait, the hotter it gets, right? So that's something that, when we came up with that, I was thinking, and we always talk about charging the line, but the big thing I think that sometimes may get overlooked is I think people don't realize, like, we ain't nobody special. We ain't superheroes. We go through professional, physical, personal issues ourselves, and just as we come on this platform and we start sharing or giving advice doesn't mean that we are perfect or that we are invincible against life, right? And so I know for me personally, this year I had some professional things that I wouldn't necessarily consider a setback, but there were some opportunities that I thought I had a good chance to fill in for, and I didn't get picked. There were some things in my at the gym. I mean, I know you go to the gym, but it's not easy when you're losing coaches and instructors, and I would say this year for me, and before asking you, but this year for me, I think the hardest thing for me to deal with, or setback or hardship or difficulty, whatever you want to call it, I think is the personal relationships that I had to deal with and learn to navigate through. There were people that left my inner circle that I never thought would leave. There were relationships that were mended and then got torn apart again. And so I think oftentimes we look at hardship and things as like, a financial thing or a physical thing. Sometimes it's mental, man. And I think a lot more so that's exactly what it is. And for me, that was the biggest thing that I dealt with this year. And I'm sharing this because I want everybody to understand that life is going to come at you. Life's going to hit you, and you can never prepare for it. It's always going to be when the minute you don't expect it, right? And when it does happen, all you can do is move forward. Charge that line.
Yeah, to what you're saying, it's like, I don't know if I agree that, I don't think you could ever be prepared for the hardships that are going to come at you because you don't know. But I think that when you have patterns in your life and you have resiliency built in, you're doing those things that are going to make you mentally and physically strong, that'll help you better deal with those things.
Right.
So, with that, I think that it kind of entails into what we're doing, like all the time. Like I got a problem at work, whatever, like work out, you got a problem at home, like I'm going to go work out. Like I have that to always lean back on, which can be scary too, because God forbid if something happened to one of us where you couldn't work out, like, to where that was taken away from you.
What, right?
Yeah. So you can't put it goes back to, you can't put everything into one basket, Yeah. You can put everything into God. Like that's what you have to lean on. That's what you have to lean on. But, like for your day to day, like you can't make work number one. You can't make working out number one. I think any of that could be taken away from you at any moment.
I think what you just said right there was exactly what we have to do, and something that I did this year for the first time was kind of just not, before when I'd have issues, get upset, get angry, whatever. Man, I just let go and let God this year for the first time in a long time, and it's actually worked out. It's brought me a lot of peace, and that's the thing, going through these deals. I think sometimes you have to look at things from a different lens, right? It's really easy to take everything personal, but you got to realize, like, you have a difference of opinion, somebody else has a difference of opinion, and sometimes, quite frankly, we had the episode about it, sometimes you just grow apart. Yeah. Sometimes people are doing things in their lives that you no longer wish to do or no longer wish to be around, and you just got to kind of go your own way. And I think the hard part about that is, even though you may not have any animosity towards those people, there's always some resentment that they build up towards you for that, and you just got to deal with it.
Yeah, and it's the interpersonal skills, and it's like, go back to the fire department. Like, that's the one thing that we don't, like, you learn about building construction, you learn about fire dynamics, you learn all these things, but dealing with people, like, that's not something that, there's books written about it, but it's something that you have to, like, experience, right? And then, so, like, switch back to your business. Like, nobody's gonna value and care about your business more than you,
right?
It's your business, right? This is your life, right? So, like, back to, like, everyone has a different lens, like you said, and so you're pouring into people, and I'm not going to say assuming, but wanting them to care about your business like you care about your business.
Yeah.
And when people have their own interests or whatever, or have a change of opinion, want to go somewhere else or whatever, it's their prerogative. But, like, you don't change. Like, you can't change. Like, I think that you still have to pour into people to get them, to show them, what you're doing for them.
And just being 100% transparent. That's exactly this is the first time I've experienced that, where I've had people that have welcomed into my home. I've called, yes, they're students. I've helped them out behind the scenes, whether it be a financial thing or some other kind of, I mean, like I said, as a jiu-jitsu coach, you're a freaking
Counselor,
therapist, counselor, life advisor,
Life
you know, you're everything, right? And I think the hard part is after you pour in, and then people just continue to take, and then they leave. Because if you're pouring in and they're reciprocating that with loyalty, right, and standing with you through the storms, then that's awesome. Like that's all you could ask for. But what made it difficult was exactly that. This year we had a couple people leave, and of course I won't put any business out there. And it's all amicable now, but I would be lying if I said, man, it wasn't like a gut punch. It definitely felt like that. And what I learned from that is just that, you can't hold any grudges. You can't be angry. You can't be upset. And you can't stop being who you are.
So I say you can't change,
right?
That you wouldn't redo it.
Because this was the first time where I actually was like, you know what? I'm just going to stop. Like, I don't have to care as much as I care. I don't have to be answering messages after hours and getting private messages and sending them back and talking to people and being that shoulder. I don't have to do that. But then again, that would be changing who I am. And one thing I'm big on, and I tell my daughter, is never allow somebody else's actions to change who you are and how you respond.
Yeah.
Right. If you're a good person, you continue to be a good person. If somebody hurts you, then that's on them. That's not on you. Right. So that was the biggest thing that I faced this year. Other than that, the year was just boom. I mean, we were flying. Love my crew that I got sent to. Jim's growing. Jim's doing well. Financially, we're comfortable, and family's doing great. My daughter finished her first year. Or first semester at nursing school, killing it. Cynthia's killing it in sports. Baby's growing, so I'm just blessed. But that was definitely something that was a setback. And so I want to ask you: did you have anything this year? And however personal you want to get, that's on you. But did you have anything that maybe wasn't as expected, or? Because not every year, and that's one thing, too, I want to bring up, is like not every year has to have something that is a challenge. Sometimes you have those seasons where you're just hitting on all cylinders, right?
Yeah.
And you can't think of anything that was a struggle. But was there anything you struggled with this last year?
No, the other morning that we worked out a couple mornings ago, and we were talking about something, and it's like, when you take on a new position or you're in a new role, a new rank, maybe, whatever that is, it takes like years. Like that learning curve is like, it's a real thing. And I mean, you could say like, oh yeah, I got this down in a couple of months, whatever. But like when you really want to internalize something and learn it, you have to immerse yourself like into that. And I am getting into a whole different discipline of the fire service, fire prevention. It's completely different from what I've been doing for the last 23 years. This is something different, so having to be a student again, and recognizing that, like, I'm not oblivious to that. It's like, I'm running this division, but everybody in the division knows more about it than I am. You have to humble yourself and say like, hey, like, I'm going to make mistakes. You guys tell me, like, come to me and tell me like when I'm going down the wrong road. So how
was that received by your guys, right? Because I mean, do you and maybe it's because you are you and people know you, right? But did you feel that there was any kind of like they were surprised that you were so willing to be like, hey guys, come, show me?
Yeah, no. You go into these roles knowing that, and I do have an example. Like early in the position, I wound up being a guest speaker at a forum where we were invited, and it's not me. It was like our department, and we're one of the bigger departments in the group, and like I'm supposed to speak about our division and what we're doing.
And you just got there.
Exactly, right? Exactly. So
talk about pressure.
Yeah, and I'm there with other big departments in Texas, and they're like equivalents to me and speaking on problems that they see in their, in their regions. And so we're supposed to talk on this and be an open forum to talk to. And these are subject matter experts. These are people that work in the field that are going to ask us questions about, our ordinances and our, adopted codes and everything else. And it's like, man, talk about like feeling like out of place. So what I did was I took we have a fire protection engineer on staff. I took him with me and I said, hey, you're going to go with me. And I was the only one up there with my FPE. And I was like, you're going to be up there with me. And I'm going to tell him right off the bat, full disclosure, like I just got into the role. I'm here because I was invited to be here. And I do feel like we can contribute, but I brought,
the man, this is the man.
Yeah. And the way that it worked is that they had given us the questions ahead of time. So I sat down with, did research and sat down and said, I had not to make it not authentic, but I had like recorded, written out, answers to every question, but I knew that we could still like offer some of our, local jurisdictional stuff. And they would go down the line and ask the, one department one, and we're right in the middle. So it was never to where I was like the first one having to answer. And so a lot of times it was like, very similar to what they're saying, plus I'll add this or something that's like, a problem that we have locally, So, but I right off the bat, I told them, I was like, hey, I'm new in the role. I was invited here and I'm here because I was told that Corpus, our city, was never really involved in this group, and I want to be involved in this group. I'm going to be involved in this group. We just joined the annual membership today. We'll be here in these meetings, and
full transparency goes a long way, right?
Yeah. I was honest about the whole thing, and I introduced our FPE, and he was excited to be there. And man, he's a subject matter expert in a lot of this stuff, so he could answer some of the questions that were, he's got a lot of experience, worked in other departments and other regions, and I mean, just very knowledgeable. So everything went well, everything was good. But afterwards, I did have a few people come up to me and was like, man, I don't know if I could have done that, just being up here with just being a few months in the office or whatever. And it's like that it was uncomfortable, but sometimes that's part of it, right? You have to,
well, you immerse yourself in that.
Yeah, the cliche thing that you say, you be comfortable being uncomfortable, right? We're like, I knew that it was like, this is going to kind of stretch me out a little bit, but if I feel like I could take care of that, anytime I'm having to speak to another group about whatever, I can like go back to that or to those other jurisdictions and how they deal with things, how they answer things, how they respond to things, and be able to have some, credibility there. So that was a little win right off the bat, maybe like I was like 2 months in, and it was like, all right, I'm traveling to San Marcos to go present on like my division. Like,
so for you, it wasn't necessarily a setback, but more of like a hurdle that you kind of had to take on, like head on.
Yeah. So just being a student again, and you're never not a student in our line of work, but like I had to like certified in a class.
I don't think people understand, like when you're out in the field and you get a fire alarm and the basics of shutting it down, or a fire a system's going off, sprinklers going off, like how to find the riser room and do those things. But then when you start getting into ordinances and
how things are supposed to work and if they're working correctly, and like the fact of it
and the businesses,
dealing with all their
codes,
special interests and everything else, it's a lot. But I mean, it's not. It's just something I got to learn.
Part of the job.
And so we talked about it the other morning. We said, man, how many years does it take? Like how many in a rank? Like how many years does it take to where you feel like, man, I will never say like I've seen everything, I'm good to go. Like where I've seen a lot, where I feel like no matter what comes at me today, like I'm going to be able to handle. Like it takes years, and I always had a number in my head. It's like at 4 years, I feel like
that's it.
That I hate to say the word comfortable, but that I feel like I'm in a good place to where, because early when you're in a new rank, you're going to those other mentors, you're asking people, like at some point there's a transition to where like people are calling you like, hey Raj, how do you handle this, or how do you write this report, or how do you do the exposures on this report, like they're asking you now. And that's when you realize like, okay, now I'm the like senior guy, or whatever. So I recognize that's going to take a while. It's going to take a while. It doesn't happen overnight. You got to be patient. But what can you do about it while you're waiting? It's like you can do everything to, make it an easy transition. You can do everything to help yourself. You can do everything to immerse yourself into that, whether that's reading, being a student.
Or you don't, right? Like you got those choices. You got those choices. We always talk about it.
Yeah, doing nothing is a choice.
With that being said, we always talk about different things we've experienced, different themes, let's call them, that go about in our life. We've talked about discipline over motivation, talked about fitness as a responsibility in our profession. We've talked about leadership without rank, something we're really big on. We've talked about longevity, not only in the fire service, but we just had an episode talking about,
Yep.
being our best. Are there any other themes that you think that moving forward, going on to the new year, that maybe might help somebody, or any advice that you could give to somebody that's kind of, new year, new me?
Well, and that's the perfect topic. I mean, and that's what everybody's talking about. And I mean, you go to the gym on January 1 and it's like brand new place, like all these cars in the parking lot, right? So there's a few things that, like, first, I always will premise it with, like, we're January, today, but throughout the year, if you want to start a new workout program, don't like say, well, I'm going to start on Monday, or I'm going to start the next month. Like, it's the start that stops, like, most people most of the time. So, like, you start anytime, and now is a perfect time. So
Right.
let's use that. So whatever it is that you're like, I need to do this better. Like, let's do it. Let's go. Like, that's number one. Number two is that we often overestimate like what we could do in 90 days, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, but we'll underestimate like what we can do in a year. So like if you have some out of reach goals that you're just going to go to 8% body fat, and you're going to, improve all your max lifts, and you're going to, be a black belt by, in 3 months, it's probably not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So like, don't set everything into that, because if that doesn't happen, you're a total failure.
That's interesting. I've never heard it put that way. We often overestimate what we can do in 3 months, but underestimate what we can do in a year.
If you take small goals,
right,
and you just peck away at them, and you keep working, and you keep, just showing up, and in a year you could be a different person.
Consistent.
90 days, you could be a different person.
Yeah.
There's the hard, what is it? The
75
hard. I mean, you could definitely transform in those short amount of times. But oftentimes at this beginning of the year, we say, oh man, 3 months, give me 3 months, and I'm going to be I'm going to be jacked and tan and everything else. You might be, but you might not be. And so what happens so often is when you're not, you just give up on everything.
Yeah, you quit.
But what I say is just give it a year. Like, let's see where you're at this time next year, and make sure that's a better person, jacked and tan, or whatever it is your goals are. And so be careful with that new year, new me, that's like, I'm going to put everything into these first 3 months and just kind of peter out, to where it's like, man, I'm change a few things, but I'm going to stick with it the entire year, not just till March. I'm going to stick with it for the whole year and see what happens.
Yeah, I like that. I tend to like that discipline over motivation, because I truly feel what you're doing and what you're talking about doing is exactly what that is, what that embodies, right? I think going in, when you have these new goals, many times going into the new year, they are fitness goals, right? People are tired of just being tired, or tired of, looking the way they look, and they just want a change. And I think we have to realize, like, discipline is always going to supersede motivation. Mm-hmm. It's really easy when you're sitting here and you're looking at TikTok or YouTube or Facebook or whatever, and it's real easy to get motivated in that moment. What sucks is having the discipline to finish a job when you're in the suck, right? When you're in that workout, when you're pushing, when it's,
or sometimes just waking up for the workout.
And that's
you're scrolling the night before, and you're like, I'm going to wake up early. I'm going to do everything right. And then that 5 a.m. comes,
and it's like, nope, I don't want to get up, and I can tell you honestly, man, it has not gotten easier. Like, I think this last year, if anything, I realized how hard it's going to continue to be.
Yeah.
That was an eye opener for me. Was this last year? It was a huge eye opener on how keeping my fitness up is not fun the way it used to be. I used to enjoy like getting up at 4 a.m, 5 a.m, posting a workout, whatever. Now it's like, dude, I don't want to do that. I don't want to, but I have to. Right? That's where the discipline comes in over being motivated. And you see people all the time that want to work out, want to lose weight. It's just consistency and discipline. That's literally all it is. Those are the two. If we had some magic ingredient, it's those two things, consistency and discipline. You could literally just watch what you eat and do push-ups and jog around your block for, in air squats or whatever, and you're going to lose some weight, right? But it's having the discipline to wake up when you don't want to wake up, stay up when you don't want to stay up, and do the things that you don't want to do to get the changes that you want, right? Because we get into that, we talked about it last week with Lonnie, wasted reps, right? You get in the gym and you're just working out to get tired. You're not working out to show any kind of growth, right? And I see it all the time. Those people in the gym, and they're just not. They're there to socialize more than they're there to see changes made, right? And so I think for anybody that's listening or maybe on that fence, just realize like it's not hard. It's not hard to figure out. It's hard to do.
Yeah,
it is. It's not going to be easy because, making that time, especially when you have a family, putting that time aside for yourself is going to take sacrifice somewhere, right? And then, in those moments when you really want to see change, you have to push your body to its limits. You can't just be comfortable walking off with a little bead of sweat on your forehead. You have to be willing to push yourself into some pretty dark places in order to get the results you want, So, with that being said, I think it's great. I think people demonize the whole new year, new me. I don't believe in setting resolutions. I believe that I'm always kind of constantly reevaluating and trying to progress in so many different ways. But I do want to ask, and then I'll give you mine. Do you have any resolution type goals or things that you are trying to work on to better yourself?
Yeah, I'll share. Look, and I just call them like life hacks, right? Just things that to just improve performance, improve my longevity, and ever since we did the O2X, like one of the things that I took from there was the tracking. And I know you wear you got the Phoenix watch, and I got the Ring-Con, and so it gives you a report at the end of the year as to how your year went.
Yeah.
And so I read my report, and it goes through a bunch of stuff, but it gives you it gives you a name. And so mine was, and I don't know if yours does this, but mine was Night Owl Extraordinaire.
Oh shit!
Yeah, Night Owl Extraordinaire. Yeah. And so because it's just paying attention to your patterns, right? Mm-hmm. And so basically, it says goes to bed late,
wakes up early,
but energy doesn't wear. And so, at first I was like kind of proud of that. I was like, man, I guess I don't need a lot of sleep, and that's a whole year of being on, not being on shift work. So I'm in bed. I mean, I'm at home every night. But I go to bed late. Oftentimes, what we just talked about on Monday night, I'm eating at 9:00 at night and then trying to just, wind down before I go to bed. And then still waking up early to hit it in the gym before work. And then, just having energy throughout the day, So I said, man, I need to figure out the food thing at night and go to bed earlier is what I need to do. I need to reevaluate my sleep. And because if I still have energy and I'm like pretty well energized throughout the day on very little sleep, man, what could my performance do if I had like the right adequate amount of rest?
Yeah.
Muscle growth, energy levels, like all of it. So that is one thing that I have to prioritize. And it's going to be difficult because, it's usually we have stuff going on, you know?
Right.
But I got to prioritize it,
Yeah. Cool, man. Cool. Well, I think for me, it's, and I might've mentioned it before, but I'm still working on it. It's, not being so judgmental with people. Right. Man, I'm just horrible, dude. Like I'll look at somebody that's overweight and like with an overweight family, and I'm just like it makes me angry.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I guess because like yesterday we were, in San Antonio for a volleyball tournament, but I see this kid and we're at the zoo. He's got a Slurpee and it's all over his shirt. It's all sloppy. And he's probably like 12, maybe 10 to 12 years old.
Yeah.
Morbidly obese. And then you look next to him and his sister's there. And she was the one in line, like emptying her slushie in front of us and like filling it half with this one and then filling it half with this one and then just dumping it. And I get there and I look into the parents and I'm like, man, like, and it's just upsetting because it's like, man, it's like child abuse. You know, they're learning it from you, but there I go being judgmental, right? Yeah. And I'm like that a lot. Ashley is like she's my piece because I think I tend to look at people where I'm trying to be better is in more understanding because, you know, what I realize, I don't like when people do it to me, right?
No, of course
like,
not.
Especially in our job. Yeah. And that's something that, like, guys have made decisions or done something and I'm like idiot, like thinking to myself, like, this guy's a fucking moron, you know? and then I'm like, well, maybe I should ask him, right? Yeah. Maybe instead of like casting that judgment on him, or maybe I should talk to the guy first. And so I think for me, it's really, and cussing is another one. Kaylin's been getting on me about it, right? Yeah. Can't worship with the same mouth that you cuss with, but apparently I do, so I need to work on that. Yeah. But yeah, man, just being so judgmental to where I'm so quick and I get like, I let it bother me. I let it like affect me. I let it anger me or piss me off, or, you know, and I think that's just my nature. Like, I'm very passionate about things, and actually is something that was brought to my attention recently by somebody, because I wrote a post about it where I said something like passion is oftentimes misunderstood. How did I put it? Basically I was saying, like, excuse me, when you're trying to get a point across and the message gets like, it doesn't get interpreted because of the delivery, right? It's
not what you say, it's how you say it.
Basically, right? And I think sometimes that was something that was brought to my attention. Ashley always brings, because I'm very quick, and so I see something and I get it on my mind, you know. And a lot of times on social, sometimes I'll like misspell, and because I got these jacked up fingers and I'm just typing away, and it's not that I don't know how to spell, it's that I just, in the moment, I'm like, boom, just go. Yeah. And so somebody brought that to my attention, and it like kind of hit me, because I was like, you know what? I do that. Yeah. Like, I'm so quick to like put what I'm feeling down and out instead of like marinating on it. Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, and I can't do that. Like, I have to read everything 2 or 3 times. Like, it's so crazy. Like, you'll look right over mistakes. Yeah. And then like or show it to somebody else. Like, read that. Like, oh, you misspelled this or used the wrong word here. Right. It's like because especially if something's going out to the entire department or like whatever it is, like, you know, it's to a business owner. You know,
you sent me one. You were like, hey, you misspelled Cody's name on my chief. I spelled his last, and I know that's the one. And I know how to spell his name right, but and he's like, oh, I don't care. People do all the time. I said, no, but it's a professional letter. Like,
yeah, like you're writing this request, you know, and you want to be professional about it, and so it's part of, you know. In our job, it's like technical, administrative, and interpersonal skills. Like, you have to be good at all 3 of them, you know, and that administrative is one of them, you know. It's like you have to, you know. Yeah.
Well, if you're listening and you're involved in my life in any way or capacity, just give me some grace with that. I know spell check. I definitely spell check, and then, you know, I can be hot tempered. Yeah. Just
well, recognizing it's the first thing. So it's like, if you feel yourself like, you know, you're about to say something or judge somebody, it's like, man, it's like you just got.
It's not worth it. Yeah. It really is. Like, it's not worth getting yourself all worked up.
Those words come out, man. You can't bring them out.
Yeah. Well, and that's because I don't, like, there's a lot of shit that I hold back that I
want to say. Well, that's what I'm saying. And it's one thing, like, if you're talking about the story you're talking about the zoo, but like, I think it's very important to be cognizant about. It's a whole nother topic, but like raising kids and like say things that you say to your own kids. And luckily, you know, I paid a lot of attention later when the kids were young. Hopefully they don't even remember that I would say stuff, whatever. But when they were, you know, playing high school sports and all that, to try to like never damage them, you know, damage their self-esteem or whatever, to where that they believed in themselves and that, you know, that they were going to work hard and be successful. Because, man, you could say something, as you know, that a lot of things later on in life all go back to like that childhood, and it's like something that I would want to be the one that, like, man, when my dad said this or whatever, it just crushed me, or whatever the case may be, to where he's still dealing with it 20 years later. Yeah.
It's
just, you don't want to do.
Yeah, no. Thankfully with my kiddos, I'm good with that. I I was never abused in that sense. Well, my grandma was a little crazy, and she said some really ugly things. I love her to death, but yeah, she was mentally not all there. But my parents, they always loved us, right? So I just reciprocate that with my kids. But all right, guys. Well, man, we wanted to bring you this episode just to wrap up 2025. Encourage you going into 2026. It's here. Tomorrow is now today. So stop making excuses. Stop trying to find your way out of doing something. Be disciplined instead of being motivated. Stay consistent with it, and watch what happens. Give yourself. If anybody's listening to this and has been struggling with just completing a task or chasing a goal, do me a favor. Give me 1 month of being consistent with doing something, right? If you want to lose weight, give me 1 month of going to the gym 4 to 5 times a week, and not just working out, but pushing yourself to your limits for 1 month, 4 weeks, and watch what happens. I'm not even talking about changing your diet up necessarily, right? You don't want to do everything all at once, okay. But give me 4 weeks of just going to the gym and working out, and I guarantee you're going to see some changes. Once you start to see some changes, then that motivation is going to be there, right? So, to anybody listening to this that's struggling, whatever it is that you plan on doing, just go hard for 4 weeks and watch your life drastically change, because it's possible. People have done it. People are still doing it. People started January 1st, and you don't have to let another year go by saying, I wish I would have, I could have, looking back and just having regret fill up your year. So, hopefully you guys got something from this. We're going to have a couple of our firefighter brothers on our next episode. They are no longer cadets or probationary firefighters, but we're going to talk about their time in the academy with me as one of their head instructors. And now one of them actually works at my station. So both solid dudes, but can't wait to have them on this Friday. We'll have the episode out shortly to y'all, but stay tuned, and nothing changes. 2026, don't forget, charge that line.